you ready to party? Let's go. Rachel, Ashlee, welcome to the podcast.
Took long enough. Shit. I mean, you were back in December, like, when are we going to have you on? And then it's like,
I know. I'm sorry. It's been...
it's all good.
Yes,
all good.
we finally have you on. We are excited to have you here. And we want to welcome back our co-host, Jordan Jimiola.
What's up, everybody?
He was gone for 6 weeks, studying hard, working hard, and he succeeded. He has his promotion. Congratulations. We are proud of you.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well done,
Thank you. I'm stoked to be back.
Yeah, that was probably a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, it was it was a lot of work, but it worked out, and super grateful and grateful for the supporting people in my life to get me through this, and thank all of you. And yeah, so I'm pumped, and I'm super nervous. Like I was driving in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like when you kind of get in the rhythm of this, it makes it way easier. But I'm thinking like, oh my god, what am I going to talk about?
Nah, you're fine.
Anyway,
I'll just say this. I almost called you Ashlee. Rachel. I always tell Sam and Drama, look, all you guys got to do is just show up.
Just show
up, dude.
That's
That's all you got to do. Just talking to that mic. It's going to be fine. You're going to do good. Welcome back. We're happy for you, dude. Seriously. We love you. We know that that's hard. It's not easy. It's stressful, but dude, it's awesome. And Sam, we got to give a shout out to Sam for filling in.
dude,
Doing so much. He was doing cameras, hosting, then a camera. No, you did a great job, dude. Seriously.
Dude, I was nervous. I was super nervous too, man. Like doing what you're doing, and I see the momentum. When you pick up the momentum, it becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but tip my hat to you, dude. You're crushing it, and doing the camera and that it gets tricky.
Yeah, so people know we are very bare bones how we do this.
While you're over there just sipping your coffee.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Well,
everyone else.
hey, let's be real. I do a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
A lot of behind the scenes. But the cameras are operated off an iPad.
Oh.
So it's cut in real time.
Gotcha.
And Sam usually is back there and he'll chime in and he takes notes and he does the cameras. But when Sam can't make it, then I have to do it or Jordan. Or when Jordan was gone, Sam would host and do the cameras. So you're trying to talk to somebody and have an engaging conversation, but also make sure your camera's on point.
Gotcha.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Just easier just to show up.
Yes, just once we have everybody here with the team back, we're good to go. So everybody knows there's a lot that goes behind this. Okay, so I hope you're listening. Leave a comment, it's on all major podcast platforms. Thank you. Anyways, Rachel, back to you. How was your drive getting here?
Drive was good, not too bad. Like once you leave and you leave after a certain time, you might have some issues, but this is home for me, so it's good to come back and just kind of, you're like, oh, I'm going back home. So.
You say this is home for you.
Yeah, this
You grew
is
up over here?
home. I grew up in Lakewood. Born and raised.
I grew up in Lakewood too. Let's
Born
go
and
get over
raised.
here. That's what I'm talking about. You remember,
Raised.
people call it Airplane Park. It's Del Val
Airplane
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up across the street, right next to that Lutheran church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit. People kind of migrating over from like that way of the 91.
Yeah, it's changing.
Yeah.
It's changing a little bit. My parents still live there though. Same house.
So does my mom. My mom's still, right by the Lakewood Mall. Gosh, I was even actually like a pageant queen out here.
No, you weren't. Wait a minute,
What?
gentlemen. We got a pageant queen here. What?
I mean, my husband would be like, "You really have to bring that up," but I mean,
Yep.
that's still relevant for me. If I come back home, I'll tell people.
Hey, what did I say? Once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a pageant.
Yeah,
Is a pageant queen, pageant winner.
Pageant queen.
Pageant queen, always a pageant queen, right?
Yeah,
That's
Miss
awesome.
Lakewood,
What's your nationality, by the way?
Filipino.
Okay, full Filipino.
Full Filipino, but people ask me all the time, like, "Are you mixed with something?" No, just.
Right on.
I think it's the water out here in Lakewood is
The
good.
water. And what's your husband's ethnicity?
Oh, he's white.
Oh, so you got beautiful mixed children.
I do.
Mixed babies
Yeah.
are the best. I am the result of a
Yes.
mixed family.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Hey. You said we got
You
the good
gotta
skin,
have-
dude. Sam
We like
is,
to call my kids Filipinos, or when they were babies, we would call
Sam, what do you mix with?
African.
You beautiful human being. No, that's awesome. Okay, so how did we meet?
So you and I met at Heart of Freedom because you were there with Mark, I believe.
Yeah, Mark was helping me film.
And I got that whole group of guys to come out to that. So
you were their contact to come out to the Heart of Freedom?
I was their contact to bring them all out there. So Josh, Johnny, you, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, that was a really good event too.
It was a great
And
event.
it turned out to be a great event. And you're also, I know you're very involved down in San Diego, but you're definitely a big advocate on parental rights, right? Is these for the children?
Everything from parental rights to medical freedom, just everything standing up for what's right, even when people think you're wrong. So I pretty much don't give two shits about anything else other than doing what's right. So
And we should have more parents that are like that.
Yeah.
Now, would you say there's a movement down there, at least with that? 'Cause
yeah,
it
there's
seems like-
definitely a movement. I don't want to say it's slowed down. It's just there's just been that momentum, probably at the end of last year when it's, everyone's getting fired, terminated. All these parents don't know what's going on with schools. SB 866 is still a little rocky thing right now, but it's like once things kind of start going away a little bit, you start seeing parents like, oh, it's cool. Like I'll just hang tight back at home while my kids go to school and you have no idea what's going on. So I think it shifts a lot, but the movement is still definitely strong in presence there.
For people that maybe aren't aware of what as you said, SB 866, could you explain a little bit what
Hold
that
on real
is?
quick. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How'd that feel, saying your first word on the mic?
Dude,
Are you good?
yeah, it was like I was trying to chime in because we were talking about nationality. I was like, my wife's Filipino also, and it was like we have 2 kids, and like I think they're super cute.
See?
So I was like,
I was just going to wait for him to...
Now you just need to, first of all, you just need to meet a Filipino girl.
sorry,
You really are married to a Filipino person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
How long have you guys been married for?
almost 5 years.
Okay. So
500 years.
before we go on
Little over 4.
SB866, that's the thing is if you get, and I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I mean,
Dude, it.
Filipino women basically love to take care of their families.
Let's go, man.
Take care of their
Let's
families,
go.
take care of their husbands, take care of their kids, and that is like the life
I
mission.
honestly feel like that's kind of a lost art. I should say a lost art, but I feel like that is being lost a little bit. Now it's okay. People.
18 years I've been married, so
And you seem so happy.
You're
18 long years. 18 years.
It is not easy, but anyway.
Life isn't
No.
easy.
Any relationship, marriage is work, but I mean, it's worth it. It absolutely. I think it's always worth fighting for. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So back on SB866, in a nutshell, that's like, well, they've now amended it to be 15, but it's the proposal was from Senator Scott Wiener. The name itself says a lot, but 12 kids 12 and older would be able to seek medical treatment, vaccines, whatever it is, without parental consent or knowledge. So that's an alarming thing, and they're still trying to.
And the
fight
age
that.
is 12. It's
It was 12, but it was just amended because he didn't have the backup for the vote, so they amended it to be 15. So that could still actually go for the vote, like any time now. Probably next week.
This is kids at 12 can get the vaccine on their own decision.
Vaccine or any like medical, you want to go get birth control, you need to get treatment. If you go to, let's say, school and they have, vaccine clinics.
How in the hell is that okay? How is a 12-year-old going to make a decision for themselves to take some medication?
Well, they talk a lot about, kids not, being able to be, comfortable enough to talk about it with their parents or whatever the case may be.
I was picking
So
my nose
it's-
and playing video games
Yeah.
and running after girls at 12 years old. I had no idea what I want to do with my life. And you want me to make a medical decision for myself?
Right. There's so many wrongs and scary things.
And that's
with
crazy because that I'm sure that it sounds like it's a pretty blanketed scope, right? Or I'm sorry, like vast, right? Where it's I know the talk is probably pushed a little bit more towards vaccine, but it probably has, a lot to do with like the gender based stuff as well.
Everything.
So now because I know that was something talked about a while ago,
Yeah.
which is like basically being able to sidestep a parent's influence or. I don't want to say control, but look, if you're talking about a 12-year-old, you're still in control as a family member, I would imagine. But being able to dictate right? Like they can just go to a teacher instead of their parent.
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
the teacher can help them get in contact with a doctor. And I mean, not even just the vaccination stuff, but like, potentially getting on hormone
Anything.
therapy and stuff
All
that
of
can
it.
jack,
Yeah.
I don't want to say jack them up, but there is potential for that, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you read into that, but
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that people are okay with children making decisions that can impact them lifetime wise,
Yeah.
And well, and then this proposal, the SP, is it
Eight. Oh.
Sorry,
866?
thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot it. That has not been voted through yet, correct?
Not yet. So the amendment just went through just like a couple days, like not even 48 hours ago. And then that could still, like all the bills that are on the table right now, like once June's done, everything's done for that season.
Okay.
So whether it passes or not, that's the problem is like 871 with, mandating vaccines. It's parents always think that just because something either it's dead and it's been withdrawn that it's done with, but legislative season always comes back the following year. So it's like you're never safe because there's always going to be another, senator or assemblyman, someone that's going to write, co-author, and you get, it just goes down that line of like you get drugged through that rabbit hole all over again. So, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and we were talking in correlation of actually, Sam, I was telling you to listen to that. I don't know if you guys heard Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It's a shameless plug right there. He doesn't need our help. He's doing great. But anyway, it had to do with World War I, and like I'm like super into history and like stuff like that. And we're talking about how like if that were to occur today, like would we have the same impact worldwide? Or look at it from just our country's perspective. Like if we had that kind of issue on a global front, if we had to have people, like we need people to volunteer to fight, like it's not to protect our country. What would that impact look like? Where are we at as a society this time now? Would we get the 50% compliant, let's say 30% compliant rate of like, I don't want to say fighting age men and women.
There's no way.
They would actually volunteer their time and put their life on the line to save the country. There's no way, right?
I don't think so.
They need safe places, right pronouns. I mean, come on, dude. There's no way.
I know it's kind of a silly question because I feel like that's like probably immediately most people would think, no, there's no way people wouldn't comply with it, and then just war in general, how it can be disgusting and terrible and just the worst stuff ever. But the principle of why you're fighting, and I'm not saying that World War I had justifiable cause, but you know what I mean? If that were to be something to protect the country, would we have the involvement that we would need to be successful? And me personally, I feel underwhelmingly no. I don't think we're there as a society. But then also the other part of me thinks it's like, well, just because we see all this stuff on TV and that the promotion, these bills, all this stuff, and not that one is particular what I'm talking about right now, but that I still feel like everything that we watch on TV is hyper glorified.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we sit there and we watch something and we're like, hey, and when I say this, I'm not knocking any specific I don't want to say community, but when we're talking about like a lot of things right now is like transsexual community, right? And, with the thing like Christina Aguilera just went out there. It was like an all age kids show, walking around, having some.
Did she have a big old donger on her or something?
She did.
Yes.
It was a big green one. Yeah.
That was real?
And she was like playing with it on stage in front of what potentially could have had a lot of children at.
What is going
so
on?
again, not saying I don't have a rough count of how many kids were there. Well, I'm not saying that, but just if you're going to promote like an all ages show, and then that's what's acceptable, you know what I mean? But anyway, where I was going with this was, it's unfortunate because I think when we turn on television, when you see all that stuff, I feel like the common misnomer is that everyone must feel that way, and I don't think that. A part of me thinks like that's not true. Because when we sit down, we talk, and we meet a lot of people, and it's like not that we have the same belief system or structure, but like, basic stuff when you're like, yeah, that's just, like I may feel this way, but I don't agree that was right,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my like little bit of hope in the back of my head that is if anything ever, like, let's say the proverbial shit hits the fan, society wise, that there would be enough people to step up You know, even though I feel like initially it's maybe not. I don't know. I'm sorry. I went on a tangent here.
Oh, that was great.
We're just.
I think a lot of it's self-preservation, though. I mean, a lot of people, no, I don't want this to happen. No, I don't want that to happen. But then when it all comes down to it, everyone's concerned about, like, I'm preserving mine and my own. And, like, I want to be within the walls of my house. And as long as my kids are, like, they don't have to have a mandated vaccine, like, I'll still send them to school. They don't know what's being taught, but, like, transgenderism and everything being so normalized, it's like, well, as long as they don't get a vaccine, they can still go to school because it's free daycare. But like these days, I mean, I grew up an 80s kid where like you had Otter Pops and like the streetlights come on, you come home, it's like nothing to worry about. Now you go to kindergarten and your kids are learning about sex in kindergarten. Like,
I saw a video.
It's very, very different nowadays.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And especially I think here in California, I always talk about like the pace. I mean, we're so like an hour ago was an hour ago, but that was so long ago. You go somewhere else, an hour ago was literally an hour ago. But I think in California, everyone's so fast paced. It's like you got to keep up with everything. If you're not keeping up, you're late.
Oh, yeah.
So we're so used to like, you got to know and know everything that's going on. And it's, I don't think parents are prepared for that type of stuff.
I think I absolutely agree. And I had a little insight on this. This was probably like 4 years ago. So I know it's like, and that's not that long ago, but like just to take a little time swath of like what, 4 years ago looked like versus now, a lot of things are like, kind of coming, not, I don't want to say coming to fruition, but they're, a lot of popular topics that maybe weren't at the 4 year ago mark, right? I had a gentleman that I work with. He was talking to me about how he went to a PTA meeting, and he's like, I never go to those things. Like, that's my wife's wheelhouse, but she asked me to come, and I'll get to the point of it. But he goes, dude, our second grader, right, brought home a letter stating that they are going to be doing a sexual education course for second grade.
What?
And in that course, now this is a public school curriculum, right? So this is from the top down, gets approved, and then it has to come to, all these, when that comes to you, that's not like someone just wrote it up and was like, here, let's see if the parents are cool with it. Like that has
it's already
like from the top down. There's been a lot of proofreading through this.
Yeah.
But in that curriculum, it talked about like, basically it was like gender studies and, sexual intercourse with a second grader. So, which I thought was good to see, is a lot of parents were like, hey, this is crazy. They're a little young for that to even be put on the docket. Because again, like Tim, like you were saying, I mean, in second grade, I don't know what the age group that is, like 7, 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be on the list. And I'm not when I say shouldn't, I don't like using those terms because it's like, it's really easy to be like, who the hell is this guy? Why is he saying that? What's good or wrong or good or bad, right? I just think it's a general like stance that like, hey, they should be learning like arithmetic and things like that, geography, not what anal sex is or things like that, right? So you had a big group of parents that basically were like, hey, we don't approve of this. And when is the curriculum going to be? Because my child will not be there for that. The school's response was, we're not going to tell you. Because if anyone understands how the attendance thing works, which I always thought like going to school, like why do they take attendance? That's the stupidest shit ever, right? Well, it's because that's how they get paid, right? So if you had at large bulk of timing where people don't go, the school loses money, right? So that's what their defense was, is that, hey, we're not going to tell you. And that's the best we got. You know what I mean? It's like
they want their money.
I think they're making a huge mistake by going after kids.
Yeah.
I think they're going to wake a sleeping giant if they continue to go down this path that hard.
That's all by design, though, too. Like the normalcy of kindergartners or second graders, that's kind of like, if you make it more normal, the younger, then like, to me, I feel like there's this cutoff, and you have this cutoff of these kids that are getting older, and some of them are starting, they're bright enough to see like what's going on and question it. If you get to them while they're younger and make sex normal, and you're a boy, but you want to be a girl, you're a girl, you want to be a boy, you make all of that normal at the youngest age possible, where you're sending them to school, then by the time they're up there, it's like they're using the pronouns and they're using all of those things, and it's like, I think I am this, and then it's just encouragement. But the problem is too is then when people speak up about it, well, then you're a bigot or you're this
Yeah.
and you're that, and there's all these finger pointers that you're not sensitive to these children, and it's like, no, it's not that I'm sensitive. It's just when you see something that's wrong, wrong is wrong. That's why you see all these mentally struggling kids that have problems because the school system didn't say, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, or can we talk about your parents? It's like, okay, we don't want to touch that because we don't want to get sued, or we don't want. Everyone's so damn concerned about affecting somebody's feelings and addressing it head on, and that's where why we are where we're at right now.
Okay, so they want to talk about. Look, sex is a good thing. That's why we have it for. It's for pleasure, but to procreate, to have families in the right context, in the right time. I don't care who you love or what you decide to do with your body, but introducing it to our children at such a young age, in my opinion, is wrong. Let the children be children. Let them be innocent and have that fun, because they'll never have that time in their life again. When they're adults, when they turn 17, 18 years old, whatever state they're in, let them start making the decision for themselves. But as far as being a child, I think that's completely wrong. And they don't even talk about the suicide rate of youth who are transgender and how high it is. Okay? 82%. According to National Library of Medicine, they said they took data indicated 82% of transgender individuals that are youths have thought of killing themselves and have mental health issues, and 45% have attempted. Are they going to talk about that? Have they ever talked about that?
Well, that conversation gets brought up, but it doesn't get elaborated on.
No.
You know what I mean? So like that stat that you read, like that's a big number.
It's a huge number.
Right? But that's not, for some reason, when it comes to this topic, it isn't enough to generate like maybe we shouldn't be so forward with a lot of this stuff. And like, again, like I'm all about your personal freedom. Like, honestly, like if you want to tuck your sack back and put some rouge on and say whatever you are, I love it. Do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not going to influence you in any certain way. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
Right.
Now,
you're going to give them respect.
As an adult. Right. But when it comes to children, it's so funny when the whole grooming thing, like using that term of grooming, like I always felt like, oh, that's like something someone older would say, like, oh, they're doing this to the kids, right? But it as I get older and see this and start, getting a little bit better of an understanding of how things operate, it really is, in my opinion, it really is true. And it's the normalization. You said it earlier, and I think that really nails it on the head, because if you expose people in anything, in this case we're talking about sexual stuff, but it just makes it a little bit easier for them to see as you know what I mean? It's like, look, if you're a 13-year-old girl or boy, right, or whatever you think you are, when you see Christina Aguilera go up on stage and starts fondling, a sex toy in a public forum, and it's like, well, she's well received. She's been in the industry for a long time. She has a ton of fans, and like, I'm not super like celebrity gossip up to date, right?
Yeah.
But at least to me, it doesn't seem like she's ever really in the limelight for anything like negatively impacting. So to see that, it was kind of like, oh, man, like, why would you do that?
There's always something, and that's like when you see something like a celebrity, or like not even normalization in schools, but just TV, radio. There's like a drag queen show that's coming out on like Discovery Plus. I forgot what it's called, but so you see it everywhere. Like everywhere you turn, it's normal. It's just like that's just how our society is. And that's a problem. Everyone's just like, well, that's just how our society is nowadays.
A lot of these celebrities are trying to stay relevant. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to. So what's the hot thing happening right now, right? I never thought that Christina Aguilera would do that. I mean, does she do crazy like sexy stuff back? Yeah, she did, right? She's a pop star. But I remember seeing someone that I was like, really? But like, I don't care if you're like crazy that way, but I'm like, you of all people?
Yeah.
But her background, though, I mean, look, she was a Disney kid.
Right.
That was like, as soon as she was like a mid-teenager, was like, you got, the genie in the bottle. Look at me.
Look, you still got it.
Hey. But you know what I mean? Like, but like enters into this like young person hypersexualized promotion, right? And like I mean, like when I was like 16, 17, I was it. I was,
Oh, you know,
Well, do you guys remember?
What's up,
You guys remember like the whole like? There's two instances. You got the Super Bowl, like the Janet Jackson "Expose of the Boob" by Justin Timberlake,
Oh, that
and
was-
then you have the Christina Aguilera, Madonna, Britney kiss on stage, and everybody's just like losing their goddamn mind. Okay, but if that happened today, everyone's like, "Oh my god, did you see that?" Everything.
It was so artistic and beautiful.
So back then, a lot of people were shocked. Like, I can't believe they're seeing. They're showing that. I can't believe they did this. But I mean, if you took someone's costume off of someone's boob during a Super Bowl show today, it would be like
Whatever.
it would just be played over and over and be retweeted, and so everything is just normal.
Well, what is it? They call it going woke, right?
Yeah.
You see all these actors, and everyone wants to stay in the limelight, and they want to be like, I'm woke, and I'm supporting society, and do all this stuff. And then you look back at their history, they've never been that way,
Yeah.
right? It's just like, I say this all the time. I always find Gay Pride Month interesting because it's not because of the people who are, but it's like the businesses and companies that come to the forefront during Gay Pride to say, yeah, we support
Everywhere.
it. And then they disappear.
And it goes.
It's only a
away.
month.
It's gone.
It
Yeah, it's only 1
goes
month.
away.
And I'm
That's
like,
it.
where are you guys at the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Nope.
I don't know. That stuff really irritates me to death. It
It's
really
because if they don't, then they're like, oh, so are you against gay? So it's just
Right.
they'd rather do it just to go, hey, let's just cover this so that way like we're good. Like we're good. We don't get any like feedback either way. I think there was like a baseball player that when he was a free agent, he was asking all these different teams like, do you support Pride Month? And he only signed with the team that supported Pride Month. So it's just interesting. Like everybody has to make sure they cover their bases.
Well, there was the Tampa Bay Rays, the baseball team. There was a handful of players on the team that said they didn't. I don't want to mess this story up. It was along the lines that they weren't going to wear the patch for Pride Month. And the reason that they said that they weren't going to wear it was because it doesn't align with their religious views. And not that they, and like the front runner, I think he was a pitcher, popular player, had this, I'm sure publicists probably like helped him out because it was very well worded. But it was just talking about, hey, like we support you as an individual. We support the Pride group. We want you to be happy. We want you to come to the games. Sign stuff. Very out there as far as like showing that that he's all in. But personally, he doesn't want to represent it because of his religious view, and that was a bunch of that was big controversy, right? And it's like, at what point, society-wise, like, are we going to like? Why is it only one way?
Right.
Right.
And it's like if you're, so it's like for it that falls under the category of like with Kaepernick, right? When kneeling during the national anthem. Well, it's like, okay, well, that was his choice, whether you like it or not. And I'm not a fan that he did that, but it's like, look, at the end of the day, you're going to do what you're going to do as an individual. If that's how you feel, okay, well, I don't agree, but you're going to do you. But then when it gets popularized, right? And then then you get like this whole group of like, oh, he's got every right to do this. He should do it. And then that gets forced into the rest of the sport or other sports or everything really for that matter. And it's just like, okay, well then, like, why was that supported so much? But then when this guy chooses to do this, not so much. It's like we have these like kind of like these hypocritical moments as society where
You
Oh,
it's
have
like
like
we're
that
allowing one
versus
thing.
like Tebow and like he wants to pray or
Yeah.
It just depends on what's the I don't know.
It's whatever's popular at the time, in all honesty. And like, I want to bring something up real quick because when we were talking about celebrities, like jumping in on like the topics, it immediately made me think of.
it's so stupid. You can see right through it.
Well,
you're
yeah.
just like, come on.
And like, and I'm going to use this example, and like, I agree with some points of the example, but Matthew McConaughey,
Oh gosh.
right? So after the school shooting of the Uvalde,
So bummed on this.
100% that everyone is like, dude, one, we need to do something, right? So now that's where it splits after that part, right? It's because it's like, do you believe that like gun issues are really because of some mental health issues, right? I think Joe Rogan said it. It's like the gun problem is disguised as, mental health issues are disguised as gun violence issues. Right? Or do you think that we need to go hard in the paint and eliminate people to obtain weapons? Right? Now, I'm a Second Amendment supporter, so I'm going to lean more towards we need to take care of people mentally, which will then make a safer environment for all of us. But when Matthew McConaughey goes up there and goes hard in the paint on it, it's like, dude, I remember watching you in a movie execute somebody on their knees, and you got paid millions of dollars to do this. So it's like, what? It's like it'd be like if Keanu Reeves or like Liam Neeson, right? You know, like popular action actors that murder hundreds of people in a movie. But then is going up there and being like, we got to take people's guns. And I'm not saying,
why is he there to begin
Liam
with?
Neeson
though?
did do that, and he got
did he?
backlash. It was years ago.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that neither of those two examples I just gave had done anything like that. But
Don't quote me on it. It was a couple years ago, and he got blasted for it.
Okay,
like,
well,
really?
okay.
Well, because you bring up a point, right? You have actors who are saying it's like, I was really bummed when I saw Matthew McConaughey. I was like, really, dude? Like, come on, man. But they romanticize violence and guns in movies, which kids are going to watch and see, yet you're going to tell us to have more gun control and take away our guns. So which side are you on? What are we doing? Come on, dude.
I think, it's just one of those things where, like, it's something for people, like a lot of things. It's something for like when I say people, I just mean like a general consensus. Like, you're always going to have groups of people that, like, hey, that sounds good. I'm in. Like, and I want everyone to know that I'm in. So, like, I'm a part of that group. Like, there's no question about it, right? So whether you have any knowledge of that subject matter or not, and the example I'll use is that someone sent me a video the other day, and it was at like an anti-gun rally, and this guy was walking around with a board and it just had different guns up on the board.
I saw this.
And some lady that was all decked out and like, stop this. We need to appeal the Second Amendment, or is it appeal? Not appeal. Change the Second Amendment. Repeal. Thank you. And he was just like, yeah, kind of leading her into this. When he goes, just real quick, on this board, can you show me what an AR-15 is? And she pointed at a paintball gun. And it would look like a paintball gun, other than it not being like multicolored, like it was all black. Like, so it looked like they all were the same color of weapons, but like, it was just a quick little snapshot of like how you might feel like, yeah, we got to end the AR, we got to get rid of AR-15. But if you can't even identify what one looks like, how credible are you as a voting member of society? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure there's tons of examples of that, but I just
so hard.
It was funny, yeah.
He's all, yeah, that's actually a paintball gun.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it's so funny.
Let's get rid of the AR-15s then.
Yeah.
Well, the county board of supervisors down in San Diego voted to now be able to go after gun manufacturers.
See,
Legit just happened.
okay,
I think
I
last
thought,
week.
no, maybe I'm wrong here.
They just voted on this.
I've always thought that San Diego was more conservative, or no? Am I wrong here?
No, San Diego's more conservative. You just have
Pockets,
like
right?
three. Well, supervisor-wise, you have three of them that are just very deep pocketed, and then they make it appear as though there are more people that are like them. Truth of the matter is there are not. I mean, I feel like San Diego is one of the last remotely conservative areas of the state.
San Diego. The whole county. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, when you have a 3-2 vote, they voted to be able to hold gun manufacturers liable if something like that were to happen.
Hear me out on this. So if I would love to know, when I go take a written test and I fail, can I hold the pencil manufacturer liable for me failing?
Yes.
Right.
Is that okay?
I don't see why
not?
you couldn't.
Or if you drink and drive and you're having like a Jack and Coke, you're going to go sue, Jack Daniels for having that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Well,
I feel like it'd be a
it's
good
just
question
crazy.
for Mr. Pelosi.
Yeah.
He's back!
I didn't mean to do that. It was the Jack Daniels company that made my drink so strong.
Well, I'm going to drive my Tesla and it's going to wreck. And I'll be like, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can.
Yeah.
How far are we going to take this?
Just whatever is popular. That's it.
Whatever is popular.
And that's what it'll boil down to, because you can make a solid argument. The counter to that when it comes with any gun stuff is that it's hard to feel good about protecting gun rights when they use only mass casualty incidents as a reason to take it away.
Well said. Hit that bell.
So
very true.
So when and it's like, obviously, no, dude, kids get, the last incident that occurred, which mind you, there's been like 4 other ones.
Yeah.
Right? Not with the like AR style or high capacity round stuff, but with handguns, people get that. Those incidents occur a lot, and it's terrible. Right now, whether it's crime, violence, or mental instability, or whatever the driving factor is for those things, it sucks. And I agree that we need to do our best to help stop those problems. I just think the process of stopping those problems I don't think is taking away the general good. I don't want to say good citizen. I hate using that term. But not someone who is capable of and responsible enough to own a firearm. Which, mind you, there's more firearms than there are people in the United States here. So for a blanket statement of being like, hey, we need to take people's guns away. Good luck.
Good freaking luck, dude.
Yeah, and it's again, right? Do people need the right to own a flamethrower? I don't think so.
Probably a little excessive.
But a little excessive, or a grenade launcher, or something which doesn't qualify as the same thing as
Bazooka.
a firearm like that, right? But what I'm getting at, it's you discredit the massive majority of people who are responsible in day-to-day life that do own firearms. I have a couple guns. I had to do all the registration portions. I used to. It doesn't matter. We won't get into the backstory of this, but very responsible with gun ownership and training and understanding how to use firearms responsibly. And in all honesty, I would hope there'd be more people and I'm not an expert in the gun stuff at all, but enough to where hey, if shit goes down, I know how to protect myself and my family. And I feel like that should be pushed as a popular thing. Because these instances, at least they'll look at the areas that have open carry, right? To me, that's still kind of crazy. If you go into Arizona and you walk into a convenience store and everyone's got a side piece on and you're like, wow, that's nuts. Everyone's got a gun. You know what's not going to happen there? Someone walking in to try to shoot somebody or steal something when you have 5 people in there that are buying a big gulp. They're like, hey, shit. This isn't happening on my watch today, buddy.
Accurate.
And again, I'm not saying that's what we need to be, but that feeling of that there's just a little bit more security, from the general public that aren't going to allow that to happen, then, just flip on your Instagram. How many break-in? Well, I tend to follow a lot of those stuff too, so maybe I have a little bit different of a view, But it's how many people just walk in? People feel comfortable going in and robbing somebody or shooting that person, right? If we had a little bit more societal, we're going to keep each other safe, and that's the general vibe, I think we'd be better off overall. You're never going to get rid of all the crazy people. And when I say crazy people, I mean crazy people.
Right.
That for whatever that reason is, they're deciding to make a crazy move that day, and more specifically to the shooter, that occurred. I don't want to get into the backstory, whatever it was. He felt that's why he was going to do that. And I tell you what, I wish teachers would be armed. I wish we'd have more security in that. And I don't mean that as hey, we should be worried, more. I want to feel like when my kid goes to school that there's an ample amount of people there that can protect them, right? And I don't know. And I don't know what it's going to take to get to that point, but it sure seems like we're tracking in the other direction. And and just our neighbors to the north got rid of the ability to buy, sell, or anything with handguns. It's we're not surrounded by, we have to be the model, right? We have to be the model of how we're going to set our society up to protect our kids and our families. And because everywhere around in the world, that seems like the first thing to go is oh, we got to repeal gun law. And
I think that's by design. That's all done by,
it's by design.
We all know that's by design.
I agree with you.
We know, but all the people that are just trying to just do their normal business every day are just the ones that have them, their CNN and all those other things on. So it's if you shut every TV off and every radio station off and everything, and you just minded your business, before cell phones and internet, you would have, in order to talk to somebody across the country, you'd have to flip open a damn book. You know what I mean? You couldn't go on to social media and leave comments to millions of people across the country. It's you see how we've evolved into that type of stuff. And that's why everybody's everyone wants to know which train they're hopping on. Because most people that are responsible gun owners are not going to be the ones that you see on the news with all these stories. Right. But it's all that takes all of that attention. And you have some people that are just oh my gosh, I want my little Susie and Johnny to be safe. And I agree with you to some extent on having teachers armed. On this other side of that, I'm also afraid of that because there are some teachers that are like, are you kidding? Like some people that are.
There's some wackadoo teachers.
You
out
might be a little on some. You have some wackadoo teachers, and then you have teachers that are like, I've never touched a gun in my life. Like, what do you mean I need to be armed? Because I would then be afraid like they're gonna. Shootings are not just like what you see in the movies where they're all like, this is how it goes. I mean, it's mass hysteria. I would hate to see like a teacher be armed that is not prepared to what they're doing, and they end up just like,
hurting somebody that didn't need to get hurt in the process.
Yeah.
And again, like when I say that, like,
and I know what you mean
I
by
don't
that.
mean like, yeah, it's mandatory for every teacher because, hey, look, if you're not comfortable, I would not want you to have a firearm because of exactly what you just said, right? Where maybe you're causing more damage than help. I'm just saying from the standpoint of if you were somebody who whatever the reason is, decided to make a crazy decision like that individual did, if there was just a little bit of hesitation in your head, just a smidge. I mean, look, because when you check out and you're going to do some gnarly shit, you're going to do it, right? Yeah. But I think it's a little bit of that, like if you go, hey, you know what? Instead of running into the school where there's a bunch of kids, because I know there's people that have firearms in there, maybe that person, and I'm not encouraging this, obviously, but maybe I'm going to go to the grocery store instead. Maybe I'm going to go to a different venue because I know that when I step into that campus, there are people that can take me down.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that crazy, look, at the end of the, and I just feel people tend to go to those because they're soft targets. They know that there's not a lot of protection. They know that there's a lot of children. There's not a lot of people that are going to be in, like, look, even a campus security, you have one guy.
And they're usually not even brave.
Well, and look, and unfortunately, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But if, like I said, if it goes down to the point where it's like you just install a little bit of hesitation because you empower society to be able to defend themselves appropriately. Now, that may cause a list of other issues as well, right? It's like the bullying thing a little bit. It's like, well, you have a little pea shooter on there, and look at this Desert Eagle I got on my side, buddy. Right? But again, there has to be some construct to that to be able to install these I want to say hesitations. From, hey, look, if you're going to make a crazy decision and this is how you're going to go out, maybe I'll pick a different subject or a spot other than a school. That's all I'm getting at, And I mean, they shouldn't.
It's a different type of evil
but
when you see someone go after kids.
Yeah.
There's a deep
right?
problem that's going on there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, you were married to law enforcement
Yes.
personnel.
Yes.
Sounds like he's an amazing man.
He is.
How is that for yeah, shout out, my dude. We appreciate you here, bro. Being as how society is nowadays and people are so against law enforcement, I mean, how is that for you being a wife of someone who's in law enforcement and seeing that happening? I'm sure it's got to be tough right now.
It's tougher now than it was, when we were first married. I just feel like, it's funny because you remember like the, what were they doing? The lip sync challenge, and all these like different police agencies were doing the lip sync challenge. And there was this one in particular, and they're like, oh my God, this guy is so hot. And then you see all these comments about like, just glorifying law enforcement. Mm-hmm. But then you have something like, so certain, I don't want to say famous, but those certain circumstances where then they instantly get put on this pedestal of like all cops are bad.
Yep.
And then you have politicians that are like, let's defund the police. And then you have this last shooting of, okay, they didn't do anything, let's take them away. But then only police should have, there's so much like back and forth. It's quite annoying, but I think, we're almost done.
Oh, like he can.
We're on the stretch. We're on the home stretch.
Good for him.
But it's really difficult because what's sad is like back, especially when COVID hit, people would get arrested. You couldn't even take them to jail.
Oh, geez.
You wouldn't even be able to take. So if you're a drunk driver or whatever, I mean, I'm not sure about all law enforcement agencies, but crime went up because they weren't keeping anybody in the jails. So you'd have a lot of people that knew that, people that even from speeding or just minor infractions, little, misdemeanors or whatever, and they would know that they can get away with those things. So it's almost impossible to have, I guess you could say, even backup sometimes because people are quitting left and right or going to another state.
So frustrating. I mean, golly, you're not empowered to do your job.
They're not empowered.
And we need law enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap what anybody says about defunding the police. You need to have law and order. There's a reason why there's laws, there's rules, and you need to follow them. It keeps the peace, it keeps people safe. And I think when people say, oh, we need to defund the police and all that, they have no idea what they're talking about because they will need help one day. And when they call 911 and the dispatcher just says, hey, we're going to send you a hope and a prayer. Good luck.
Right.
Well, where's the police? Well, you defunded them.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted. That's like showing up on a fire engine to a fire and we have no water. Put it out. Wait, what?
Yeah, do it yourself. You have a hose?
Yeah, like this is not going to work, guys.
Yeah.
So that issue makes me, it really bothers me a lot. And it's almost like it's because people don't want to be held accountable. And that's the main problem I see with our society nowadays.
Accountability.
Is nobody wants to have any accountability. And everybody wants something for free.
On all fronts.
Yes, it's like that's not how it works in a society at all. You have to be held accountable. You need to work for what you want. And if you mess up, you're going to get in trouble. We've all messed up. I'm not saying we broke laws and went to jail for years, but when you mess up, and you've done something wrong, our lives are based off choices. You make good choices, you'll reap the benefits. You make bad choices,
you have a lot of consequences.
You will reap the consequences.
Absolutely.
That just is what it is, but also that's how people learn. And now what you're seeing is law enforcement doesn't have any backup, no support from politicians or the city people, and they're just being bashed all the time. And like you said, there's always going to be bad apples in any job. I'm sure there's bad cops, there's bad teachers, bad firefighters, there's bad plumbers, there's bad all that stuff. But you need to support the police. You have to. I mean, these people, I can't imagine having to pull somebody over with all these things going through my head, having to make sure you're treating them correctly. You're being filmed, but you don't know whether they have a gun or not. I mean, that's got to be so stressful. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and these guys and these females willingly do it every day, and yet they're still getting crapped on in the news. So kudos to your husband. I'm just happy he is on the downside and hopefully retires soon, but I can't imagine, at least for him, how that feels, especially with the years that he's put in.
Yeah.
We feel it in the fire service sometimes when our politicians or department doesn't back you. It sucks. You're like, why am I here?
Well, even the type of law enforcement that are incoming, I don't know if that's within, the fire departments as well, but you have a lot of the incoming police officers that are now being taught the new way of law enforcement. It's like, let's try and talk this down. Let's try and do this. You have different ways of enforcing the law, and it's, you can't bring in a social worker into a situation where you have somebody that's completely combative and like that's you just can't do that. You just can't. No. Trying to reinvent law enforcement, I understand there's a lot of training that they have to continue to go through, but when you're trying to reinvent that and trying to, let's say, like enable some of these people and how they act, that's just not, law enforcement's just not going to be the same. And that's why you see the recruitment is so low. I think my husband's office is probably, I couldn't be completely accurate, but maybe they're probably short at least 25%, if not more. That's a huge lack of police presence. Just even in patrol. But just imagine, I know that's the city of San Diego in particular. They're losing people every week.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
And think about this and how the news reports on it, and our government doesn't support our police, right? The criminals are watching that.
Yeah.
They are watching. And that's why crime is continually rising, especially in California. It's rising and rising and rising. And it's like it's almost as if they want to give all the power to the criminals and take it away from the citizen and the police officer. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
It doesn't. The big thing with that is it doesn't sell. And that's the hard part, is that like if you turned on the news and you saw, hey, today a local police officer stops, kidnapping, or an armed robbery suspect is detained and they saved the shop and the store owner, and you know what I mean? Like those, and let me be real, those stories do pop up. They just don't have traction. It's like, oh, nice. Someone's doing their job. Okay, cool. It'd be the same thing as like a fire. Like today, fire department puts out a house fire and saves a family. They're like, good. That's what they're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have that like. It doesn't have the push to get things like to turn into something, right? So, but when you have look what happened with the George Floyd case, right? You had an individual like as far as police work goes, did something out of a scope. You had an individual who passed away from it, and then it's like that forms into all cops are terrible, right? And that then, but it didn't. It wasn't because it was a quick story. It was because that's all you heard for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I am not defending that Eric Chauvin guy in any way, shape, or form. Honestly, he seems kind of like a piece of shit to me. So, like, the accountability factor, good, dude. You get what's coming to you,
Right?
You know. And I'm not saying that George Floyd was a great person either, but I'm just saying that you have to, at some point, the accountability part, that is what needs to be the most upfront when it comes to public service, right? You are accountable, right? So if you have a shitty cop or a shitty whoever that makes a bad decision and it directly impacts and it's illegal and everything, then that person gets held accountable to it. And I know the history with cops and that there's been a lot of bad stuff that has happened, you know, for probably as long as cops have been around. I get it. And that, like Tim said, that's every position. Right? Every job out there, there's shitty individuals, but why is it only highlighted in police? And why is the answer we should defund them? It's not. If anything, I mean, like, well, one, maybe pay them more.
Yeah.
So you can incentivize a larger group of people to have interest, right? Because now it's a financial asset where you're like, damn, that's a great job. And then when you get you get the popularity of it, now you pick the best of the best that you can. And you make sure that your training is so extensive that you limit that liability moving forward, right? So what does that mean, right? So, okay, yeah, they do a ton of training, and we still have problems, right? So what's the answer to that? More training. You know, it's like, look, if detainment and the point of when you're arresting somebody, like using the George Floyd incident, right? This guy sat on this guy's upper back neck area, X, Y, and Z are reasons why he died, but either way, that was terrible form and should be held accountable, which he's in jail. Good. Right? But what do we do? I was like, well, maybe, you know, you got to do 2 hours of jiu-jitsu every week. Maybe you got to do, you know what I mean? And I use that just, you know, popular fighting style, but, you know, when it comes to grappling, things like that, maybe to have a better understanding as the individual, if you're going to detain somebody, to be able, I can hold them in this position where they're safe, I'm good, and if anything goes wrong, I'll break their arm. Right? So, you know, it's like that kind of stance, I think, is what needed to be pushed. Not, hey, the best way we can handle this is getting rid of police officers. You know, and then, like you said, what does that do? It just incentivizes the wrong people to feel empowered to do bad shit.
Well, and you saw what happened right after that, too, is like all these people were peacefully protesting, which was never peaceful, but you'd have all these riots and the law enforcement was told, don't touch these people. Just let them burn all these buildings. Just, it's okay. Let them burn the building. Down in San Diego, it was 3 weeks. They were all working, no days off. One of the neighboring small cities, they burned down 2 banks. They threw things in buildings, caught it on fire, and they were just told, don't. Just stand there.
But it was an expression.
Yeah.
Just stand there.
But Rachel, if you or I cheat on our taxes, we'll go to jail for 20 years.
It's interesting.
It's just like, what is this world we're living in?
I feel like it's kind of like this game of like unfair game of red light, green light versus like leaving the Truman Show. I don't know if that even makes any sense at all.
That's actually really good.
But you take the Truman Show and a game of red light, green light, and the green light is very indicative on what the country is trying to do, is just destroy it from the inside core, like out. And like the red light is fire and the nurses and the teachers and the law enforcement. Like that's a slow game of red light, green light for them. And like you're never here, like they're like way in the back. Right. But the green light's for everybody else that's not law abiding, thinks everyone should have a pronoun. Everyone's bad if you don't speak up on injustice and equity. And like those words I just can't stand. I can't stand like injustice and equity because they're so overused. Like, do you really know the meaning of equity? Do you really know the meaning of injustice? Because it's been happening so much, but it's kind of the injustices to certain people, and the people that are actually contributing to society are the ones that are being slapped on the, slapped the most. So,
oh, sorry.
No, it's. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, yes, please.
And it's like the Truman Show. It's like, I don't think people understand, like we are being watched. Like all our actions are being watched, and every little thing.
Yes.
And it's like it's like the girl that's trying to tell him and what's going on, and it's just, you got to exit the system.
I have a friend who I'm not gonna say his name on here. He works in the, we'll just say, securities type businesses, and he showed me real quick, click of a button to access someone's phone, computer, patch it. I mean, everything. It's instantly like that, and he's not even high up
Wow.
in government or anything else. Like, dude, what? He's like, yeah, your phone doesn't have to be on. Look,
Yep.
I was like, what the heck? You can hear
Do
everything.
you have like? Because I even have on my MacBook, even when it's not, I put a little thing right on top.
I
of
tell
the
it to
camera.
everyone. Yeah, and the camera's like,
Even if you don't have it on, I always just put it. Make
It's a
sure.
piece of tape.
I saw a very.
If you're in the turn and you're taking a shower, make sure you turn your phone and cover. Yeah.
I saw a very inappropriate, like 20-second. I don't even call it meme, but it's like I'm gonna go too extensive here, but it's like the government's getting sick of seeing me because this is what I'm doing. You see him like the computer's on his chest. He's like, I was like, people are crazy.
Goodness.
Yeah, but that
You just see the FBI guy like, God.
That guy again.
Yeah, like, jeez.
that is the way things are morphing into, right? And like, without going to conspiracy theory,
I can go there though. By the
I
way.
know you said a couple things where I'm like, you need to come back and we'll just do a conspiracy
I can
podcast.
go.
'cause
I can
feel
go
like,
completely
She's totally on board. I
that.
love
but I think that's the push because we're going to model the like social credit system, and I think that's
yeah.
that's where
That's coming.
That is coming.
That is coming.
And I know,
It's already here.
well, they're doing it in parts
Already.
in China,
Yeah.
right? Where like,
Yeah.
so if anyone listening doesn't understand that, meaning like by the way you live your life, you get a credit score, almost like, like for a credit card, your actual credit score. But now this is based off of social interaction, right? So like if you're a good person, you get this many credits for the day. And then now you can apply those credits to buy. Oh, damn it! I touched it.
There it is.
To buy like food or to be able to qualify for whatever purchases or going out or things but the part that's a problem with that is that could be, that leads down this is like Orwellian theory now, right? Because now it's like, okay, you better be a good person or you can't go out this weekend, but who's telling you that? It's not your family, it's the government.
Or we'll lock your account.
Yeah, or we'll shut you down.
Yeah,
and it's like, this shit just drives me crazy. And the more and more I used to think that was kind of a silly inject and that it was like a little bit, okay, that's pretty far-fetched. But now it's happening.
Oh,
And yeah.
that's gonna happen. I think like with everything with having access to stuff, it's like the chicken farm in Minnesota and all these cows. I mean, it's hot
cow thing, I
it's
saw
hot in a lot of other states besides Kansas. You guys,
Rachel, can we talk about that? Can we just talk about it real quick because
yeah.
we're about to run out of time? But Rachel, I saw that last night, and I was like, okay, we have something going on here. What was it? Over 80, right? A cattle farm.
85 food processing businesses / distribution, like factory type. We're talking like large scale, not like,
Large
a
scale.
couple of farmers. I'm talking big industry stuff. 85 in the past, is it 7 months? Fires. Just, and okay, figure.
if you don't know a farmer, make sure you become friends with one really soon.
What are the odds? What are the odds? And when you see it on the map of the United States, it goes from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. So you're telling me over the last 7 months that somehow all of these freaking farms just caught fire, or the heat wave came. A heat wave came from California all the way to freaking New York and wiped out all these cattle? Come on.
It's the inside core.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how do I bridge this? Having been involved in the fire service for 15 years now, you're pretty up on new types of potential threats or fire issues and things like that. Not one training segment, anything I've read, and like nothing about, hey, you got to be careful for those food processor fires. Because they have all these different things here that are potential fire threats. Not one train, nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And that would be something that every department in the United States would be hip to and keen in on and prepared and trained and got ready, and all the fire prevention preparation, the money and time and everything that goes into all these, especially big facilities. They got to go through a ton of stuff to make sure they're operating by Cal OSHA and everything. And now it's like 85 places burnt down in the last couple months. That sounds crazy to say out loud, but it's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And then why? Why is that? And why those places? Why not like car manufacturers or, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I have my.
Well, I mean, the car manufacturers, you just take away the chips and then promote electric vehicles, and I can tell we do need to do like a conspiracy. I can go off that. Like,
Hey, do you know that 90% of the electricity is made from burning coal?
I didn't know that.
Fun fact. So everyone who, and I know you have a Tesla because it's a badass car. And I like,
Hey, you're gonna make me look bad.
No. I like electric. So when I say this, I like electric cars. I think the idea and that they're cool and the technology, everything. I think it's badass. But when you hear people, because there was some, either she was a senator or congresswoman or whatever, she was plugging her new Chevy Volt, and she was like, "This is the future. Everyone needs one." Da da da. Not to mention they're expensive.
They're very expensive.
But someone was like, "Hey, where'd you plug your car in?" And she was like, I have a plug-in on the video. It's eco-friendly and generates this. And then the next segment is they went to whoever the main. It wasn't SoCal Edison, but it was another electricity
company, right?
Yeah. And they're like, "Hey, where do you get the power to produce the electricity?" He's like, "Oh, it's like 95% coal." And I'm like, but that right there's the bridge.
Yep.
That's why it doesn't work. Like, you can't, like, for California, right? We have a couple more years before we're supposed to be all electric with everything.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Totally impossible.
Yeah, but you guys think the middle class and lower class are getting crushed here.
Yeah.
How is the middle class and the lower class going to be able to afford a brand new electric vehicle? My Tesla was crazy expensive. It's hard. I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, not everyone's going to be able to have the means to do that. So what we're doing in California, you have the haves and have-nots. Middle class is being decimated. Yet you're going to tell them by 2035 they have to have an electric vehicle?
Nope.
Get out of here.
Dude.
It's not going to work. Like, I don't understand how people don't see that.
And then by
How does the light not
2035, there will be no electricity. Just,
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're like, "Hey, guys, what
Do
can
you
we
guys
do to
mean,
supplement electricity?" They're
Do
like,
you remember the big outage from Arizona to California a couple years ago? I mean, I tell people, do you guys remember that? Like, everybody was freaking out. I was at a Costco and everyone was like, "Oh my God, what happened? We need to get our frozen stuff."
If everybody in okay, let's just say this right now. If everybody in SoCal had an electric vehicle, we all, it wouldn't work. There's not enough charging stations. There's not enough power. It would not work.
But tell them
How are they not bringing that part up?
All right, so in 15 years, we're going to have government-issued smart cars. And I don't know if you remember what the smart cars look like, but they're smaller than this table that we're sitting in right now.
Yeah, they're called coffins.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we're all just going to eat canned food. That's
Dude,
it.
what are they going to
That's
turn
where
into?
we're
What is it, Venezuela or
That's one of them.
I mean, dude, I'm trying to think of who it was, but it's like, that's a communist-run country, correct?
What's that?
It's a communist-run country?
A communist-run country?
Right.
Venezuela? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Or not
they're just socialist.
Socialist. Okay, that's where I was going for. Thank you. It doesn't work. Look how poor the people are. Look what's happening over there. Everyone's fighting to leave that place to come here.
Yeah.
And yet you want to do that? It doesn't work.
And it's
it does not work.
It's one of the most, like, nutrient-dense countries. And when I say nutrient, meaning like a natural resource, because they have huge oil reserves and everything from Venezuela in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, but what's crazy is that they were not a socialist country. Like, I don't know if it was like 10, 15 years ago, they made the switch. And then when they made the switch, everything went downhill, bankrupt. That's it. The coup and everything went down over there. It's crazy.
Well, I love when people, I'm sure you've seen it, Rachel, when people like, we hate capitalism, we need social, it's like, as you drink your Starbucks with your $2,000 freaking Apple Mac computer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm really sure.
That's why I try to stay away from anything corporate.
I know.
I go to farmers markets every weekend. I make friends with farmers. I shop like everything. Besides some of the clothes, like skincare, everything is all small business.
I get my coffee from the Crooked Duck. It's a, which you guys had this morning, hazelnut coffee. It's just a little mom and pop breakfast place, and they make their own coffee beans and all that. I always get it from them.
Well, I think people forget that the whole stimulation of our economy is 100% small business.
That's why they're trying to decimate us.
If you put all of it together, I mean, that is what drives our economy 100%. But then you just have this constant takeover of corporate going into the farms, obviously. It's just, I
don't know what you guys are talking about. Joe Biden said the other week that this is the strongest economy that we've ever had in the world. So we're good. No.
Gas prices aren't that bad.
No. They've only been going up for, since you've been in office.
Oh, dude. Well, it's insane.
So you're going like every couple of days, so it doesn't seem that bad. It's like I just used up a quarter tank. Okay, I'll go like tomorrow.
Oh, it's crazy. I'm sure I took my RV camping and surfing up north, and the diesel up in Morro Bay was $7.09.
Wow.
$7.09. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on fuel. I have a 25-gallon tank, which usually typically isn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad, Mom. It was bad, Rachel.
I was going to say, every time I fill up, it's $140.
It's
and
bad.
Like my wife's vehicle, my vehicle, 140. I mean, dude, it's an extra. It's almost like an additional car payment.
That's what I was going to say. You're paying hundreds of dollars just to get to work.
And
what's that doing to the middle and lower class? Now it's going to cost them more money to go to work.
And they're trying to push a lot of public transportation too, because that also just regenerates back into their pockets.
Right.
So,
and our public transportation up here is terrible.
You don't want to.
You don't have to go to work if you take what we give you.
Yeah.
God,
You don't want to touch public transportation.
Well, Rachel, we hit that point in our podcast.
All right.
We have a few questions for you.
Okay.
I think we do. Yes.
Yeah,
Jordan, finally back at this. Let's go. So how we do this is called Answer the Internet. Jordan asks a question. You go first, and then we all answer.
Okay.
It's nothing crazy.
It's
Is it
nothing
like
crazy. It's just-
fire round? Like I got to be quick with the answer?
If you want to be.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you want.
All right, so let's do a little warm up one.
Okay.
Let's start with this. Who's your favorite podcast host of Let's Go Podcast?
Oh my god.
Just say Tim.
Really?
I'm kidding. No, I'm totally
Wow.
kidding. Don't answer no. Everyone's equal here.
May not
that's how
have
we
be
play.
invited back if I have like one answer.
It's okay. It's okay. All right, so all right. Would you rather
boy.
get paid $1 million a year, but you have to work crazy hours, or get $100,000 a year and do nothing?
Oh.
I'm taking
I'm not about money, so I would say the $100,000 a year.
Girl, that's
not
what I'm
do
talking
anything.
about.
nice.
I like
Yeah.
that. So 100,000.
Yep.
Come on.
And
I'm
I
with you.
probably
I join
would spread the wealth and just help people out with that.
Nice.
Let's go.
That's good. I would take the 100,000 as well, but I would still work crazy hours because I'm trying to just
Hustling here.
I'm a hustler.
There
I
you
want to make
go.
as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam?
Definitely not work. I mean, I would work. But same. You know, I would take the 100,000.
I'm grinding.
Definitely.
I ain't gonna stop grinding.
No, but I
I'll
wouldn't
take
work that much,
I'll
dude.
take the extra 100.
I wouldn't work that much.
I would honestly move to the Philippine Islands and live in a hut and just surf, dude. There's some good surf out there. If I'm getting 100,000, dude, I don't think I got to work again for the rest of my life. I'm out.
And then you might find a bride over there. There you go. Double down on
I
that.
just want someone to love me and take care of me.
I make 100,000 a year doing nothing.
No.
All right. Next question. This is interesting. Who is the worst group of fans?
Fan?
No, okay, are we talking sports or a team?
I know.
It
I
is
was just
pretty
going.
big, but I
I'm
was
going
thinking-
just like
We'll go-
Raider, Dodger, Yankee fans. I'm a baseball girl, so I'm just gonna go with like those type of people, the ones that are throwing beer bottles and getting kicked out of the stadium.
What do you think, Jordan?
Well, if we're gonna take the sports approach, see, that's I shouldn't even say that because traditionally Raider fans are somewhat problematic at sports events. However, I have a lot of friends that are Raider fans that I don't think fit that category. I also am a avid Bears fan, and I hate the Packers. And I have a handful of buddies that are diehard Packer fans, so I don't include them in this. But I don't like that fan base, excluding those people that I just referred to, because I feel like they're pompous, and I don't like that. But I'm traditionally an underdog team liker, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my answer.
Dang. What about you, Sam?
I would say Raider fans, but then some reason Cowboy fans come to mind.
Good one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, bro. I mean, they're emotional. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Fair weather fans, dude.
I would say
Chargers.
Right.
The only thing I've
Chargers.
ever, the only thing I've ever experienced was Giants fans. Like being in a
okay.
stadium, they were a-holes. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to drink a beer here and like not worry about life for a couple hours.
Yeah.
New York.
What are
bro.
we doing here?
Yep.
Yeah.
New York.
Go to an Angels-Yankees game. That's always pretty
That can get
rowdy.
wild. That can
Yeah,
get
I
wild.
do agree. Yankees fans can be a bit much,
Yankees
but they're
can,
just they're emotional, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. They're like, they just don't like losing.
Yep.
Well, Rachel, thank you. One more?
Oh yeah, here
Still
we'll
more.
squeeze in. Oh, sorry. Is that okay? If you can only watch one actor, I already know Tim's answer. If you can only watch one actor's movie for the rest of your life, who would it be?
Our Lord and Savior Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh.
He's right on the wall.
I was just gonna say you can see
Right on
him
the
right
wall.
here. Tim's a huge fan.
He's also married to an Asian person.
I know. See, he knows what's up.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
Is he?
He
Yes,
is.
yes.
Married to
I think
Lucy Liu.
What?
No.
No.
He found some girl in Vegas, I believe.
Yeah, I think she's
Right?
Japanese, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think he's been married twice to Asian women. Probably Keanu Reeves. Like, I'm really into the whole. Why am I blanking on this right now? The whole John Wick. Like, I love the John Wick.
They're amazing. Great
So,
movies.
Yeah,
That was
probably
gonna be
it.
that was gonna be my answer as well. I'm a
And if
huge
not, it would
Keanu
be the
Reeves.
John. If not John Wick, I'm sorry, it would be the Born Identity, like the whole
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon. So
Yeah, those are really good.
I'm just a huge fan of Keanu Reeves, and I like that he plays the same character in every movie.
yeah,
Just like,
yep.
John Wick, sick. Bodie, sick. Bill and Ted, a little bit more loopy, like,
Drake, same thing.
Yeah, Johnny Utah.
I think Keanu Reeves and Christopher Walken, they just play the same person every time.
Yeah,
But it
Christopher
works.
Walken,
But it
though,
works.
too.
Yeah, they sell it. I'm like, all right, cool.
I don't do a good Walken impersonation, but yeah, he's awesome.
Nicolas Cage. God bless you, brother. Oh man, that's all I gotta say.
Sam, who's your performer?
Definitely Tom Cruise. I wanted to see what you guys would say. Yeah.
Not ready for that
Yeah,
one.
exactly. I was like, let's go with Tom Cruise.
Okay, Scientology.
Yeah, right,
dude.
No, but for real. I when you said Matt Damon, I was like, yeah, those Born Identity movies.
Yeah.
Like when you like Matt Damon, Liam Neeson type movies like
Yes.
that. Yeah, I can watch those.
The Born or the Born Identity, whatever they are, the Born movies. That was kind of like before John Wick.
Yeah.
And John
Yes.
Wick took it like to a
Yeah.
darker, like cool.
Hold my beer.
Vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Nightclub vibe or whatever.
The identity, supremacy,
Yeah.
ultimatum.
Okay, I see where you're coming. No wonder
Yeah.
you married your husband. I see
Although
it.
in all reality,
Like them badass dudes.
could you name a bad Tom Cruise movie? Like one where you watch where you're like, that sucked.
Vampire Diaries.
You didn't. Oh, okay.
Oh, you like that?
I mean, it was so right.
I mean, it's
I
cool.
mean, it was a weird movie.
Yeah.
It was
but
just
he played a
different.
good, like he was a good creepy vampire person.
yes, it wasn't bad. It was just I'm used to him more action. So when I watched it on TNT, you're just kind of like, I don't know.
He's got the best running style in the game. He chops his hands like no one's business. Yeah. His form is perfect.
If you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, go see that. By the way,
I haven't seen it yet.
incredible.
Yeah.
The best movie I've seen in my entire life.
What?
I'm hands
I've
down.
heard so many good things about it.
I'm not a Tom Cruise fan, but dude, hands down, the best movie experience I have ever had.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Wow.
I'm in.
Right out
Fourth of
the
July
gate.
is coming up, so that would be a
Watch
good time
it.
to
Take
go
your
see
husband. Take him.
I haven't seen it yet either.
It's good. It's really good. But Rachel, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on the podcast. Please give our best wishes to your husband. Let him know we support him and thank him for everything he does for our
I will.
community. He's a good man, brave dude. We need more people like him.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thanks for being Jordan's first guest back. He still seems a little awkward right now.
What?
You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, hello. Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Jordan, God.
No, it was awesome. I mean, we got to get to know you a little bit. I think we should definitely do a.
If
like,
you guys do a
conspiracy
conspiracy
We will.
one, I
We will.
will be like,
No, that'd be
people
fun.
don't know what like certain things are. Like I talk about harps and dumbs, and people are go, "What is a harp and what's a dumb?" I'm like, "Oh, wow."
Hey, we should do quarterly conspiracy theory for a year.
Oh,
that would be a
dude.
really,
Quarterly.
really good one.
Awesome.
Let's go.
You can actually wake up a lot of people with conspiracy, honestly. So yeah.
We're going to talk about this.
All right.
It'd be Red Pill Rachel.
Yes.
be your new-
That would-
Rachel, I like
that would be a good one, a good episode. Yeah, let's do that.
Well, let's go on 3. You ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Let's
Let's go.
Bye, everybody. And that's it. Thank you for listening in, everybody. We'd like to thank our sound engineer who makes this podcast happen and makes us sound very good, Stephen Clark. And to our first sponsor, 89 Barbers. Look good, feel good, be great. Come get your haircut at 2 locations, Long Beach and in Orange, California. Your appointment can be booked at 89barbers.com. That is EIGHTNINEBAB BARBRERS, 89barbers.com. Again, look good, feel good, be great. Check it out. It's my barber. He is the man. Thanks, everybody. Bye.